So, great. Good afternoon, everyone. It's been a while, but we're so happy to see you here today. It's great. The people are still joining. It looks like we're going to have a lot of people here today, which is fantastic. And obviously, we're still going to be recording, so it's going to be available afterwards if you need to go and double check something, and for the people who have something else on. So we are talking about the Geospatial Data Science Certificates, and it is quite a mouthful. And we have our wonderful people who are very involved with this down at the bottom. Thank you to them, and they're all taking part as well today. So just a quick reminder, but I think everyone kind of knows. If you don't mind just keeping the video off and the sound muted for better streaming, especially if the load shedding is going to be kicking in by you. We are recording and it will be shared afterwards. So please just look out for that email from help@SAGTA. And we are really happy that you are able to join us now if you're here. We do want to ask, please, for questions to be put in the chat, because then we can refer back to it. We're keeping the chat and we can go and check and see what the questions were and things like that. So please, we do ask to put it in the chat, but we also ask that you can, at the end, have your Q&A. So here's the agenda quickly for this afternoon. We'll be listening to Robin and Abby first. Then Brandon and Nicola will go, and then Clinton and Bridget, with time for Q&A at the end. If you don't mind, write down all your questions, keep them, put them in the chat, and then ask us at the end so we can just make 100% sure you know exactly what's happening. So I'd like to ask Robin and Abby to please take over.
Thank you, Inika. I'm going to put my camera on because I'm going to show off because I have power.
Great. I'm spotlighting you too. Thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you, everyone, and then welcome to the Geospatial Data Science Certificate Task launch for 2023. And like Inika said, it is quite a mouthful, and I figured that out today when I was trying to format the certificates. It does take up quite a lot of space. But I think this is hugely exciting. And I would really like to say thank you. It's been wonderful. I was just messaging Bridget to say what a wonderful turnout we've got here. It's lovely to see so many people interested in this space in geography. You know, when we launched this project last year, it was kind of not dissimilar to the ISC that the IEB launched also last year. It's making the road, you know, walking the road as you make it, if you will. And we've learned a lot, and I think there's been a lot of reflection on how we go forward. But I think the point is that, you know, these types of initiatives, you know, they don't, the first time really, they have to start somewhere. And I think innovation is messy, and particularly in this space, which is quite, it's quite a technical space. It's a space with very particular skill sets. But certainly what we know from engaging with higher ed, universities, speaking to people, you know, who ultimately are looking at, you know, life after school, that GIS is really the future of geography. And I think this is why this task is so important, because for us at the IEB, we become incredibly aware about curriculum saturation, you know, putting everything, particularly at grade 12 level. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to make learning about enjoying learning again. We wanted to move away from, you know, putting these types of skills and that into an assessment in high stakes. Because the moment you go into high stakes assessment, then, you know, the anxiety comes in, the kids are nervous, they want to know if this is for marks. And really, sometimes you want to do something purely because, you know, you want to develop the skill set. And so that's why we launched this predominantly focused at the grade 10 and 11 area, although we did have a few grade 12s, because we're very aware that when kids enter matric, it's about really running a race for that entry into university or wherever it is that they want to go. And we wanted to move away from that. We wanted to celebrate these skills, but do it in a way that isn't high stakes, that can be innovative, that if we need to add a few more months, let's say, to it, if we can reflect. And that's really why we put this task or the certificate task where we did. I want to give a huge shout out really though to Cartosa, and I want to give a huge shout out to SAGTA and the University of Pretoria. Certainly those people who know me know that I'm not a geographer. And so a lot of this really is new to me, although some of you will notice that I did put out on the Google group today a fruit map. So things are changing, albeit slowly, but you know, I am aware now. And if I see something that's related to geography, I go, oh, share. But the reality is, we wouldn't have even got this off the ground if it wasn't for the support of those organizations. And what I love about this is at the IB, we are looking now to collaboration. We realize that we can't sit and you know, sermonize collaboration to our learners if we don't do it ourselves. And this was wonderful to see that we could do this with Cartoza, SAGTA, and the University of Pretoria. So I really want to give a shout out to everyone from those teams who have driven this process. I'm really just a glorified administration here. They are the brains behind this task. And I just, it wouldn't have happened without them. And I think as a community, we're incredibly lucky to have these organizations. I often, when I meet with new schools and new teachers, always get excited when there's geography offered, because I can tell them, oh, there's a huge community here you can link up with. And the reality is I don't have that necessarily that network, say in life orientation and history. And that's something to celebrate as geographers. So we're very, very excited to launch the 2023 Geospatial Data Science Certificate task. Those people and those learners who participated in last year's task, the certificates, like I say, are being ready, put together, and they will be delivered to your school so you can celebrate what your learners have done. And we really seen, I mean, we saw some fantastic projects that were put together. It didn't really mean much to me, but when Bridget and the team explained it, then I did get excited. So thank you to everyone. The IEB is so excited to be collaborating with the community and with these wonderful organizations. And I'm going to stop talking now because there's a lot of information that's going to be shared on this wonderful platform. Thank you, Inika, as well, for managing the meeting. And I'm going to hand over.
Thank you, Robin. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Siabile Diludi, and I'm a geospecialist at Cartoza, and I'm also the technical support for the Geospatial Data Science Certificate. So I'd like to welcome you to GDSC 2023. So the first matter of the day is just introducing you to the platform where our learners will be interacting with the material that will be provided to them throughout the duration of the course. So if you've been going through the circulars that Robin has been sending through from the IEP, you'll know that Cartoza is hosting the material on our education platform known as the Cartoza GIS Academy. So all the learning material, user accounts, everything is hosted on that platform. So what is different in 2023? So previously, from teachers who have participated last year, you'll know that we've had part A and part B. So now part A has been renamed to the General Participation Certificate, and part B has been renamed to the Advanced Certificate. So with the General Participation Certificate, all learners are able to participate.
Sorry, Abby, can you just turn or speak a bit closer to your mic? We're just struggling to hear you very clearly.
Oh, is it? Am I audible?
Yes, you just like really soft. That's just want to see if the mic can get closer to your mouth, perhaps.
Okay, maybe I should shout because I think my microphone is.
Oh, shame.
Am I audible? But I'll try.
Is that better?
Is that better, everyone? Me.
Just if you can just speak really loud. Thank you. Sorry about that. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's no problem. I will shout. Okay.
Thanks.
So with the General Participation Certificate, all learners can participate in the in the task, and also with part B, so if learners choose to continue with that, they can be able to continue with that advanced certificate. And also from the previous teachers and students also who were part of part B last year, you know that we had a data directory where you would go and get data sets for you to be able to do the task for part B. So the geodata mod is now renamed to the geospatial data downloader, and we are working tirelessly to make sure that the platform is more friendlier, more user friendly than what it was previously before, because we have acknowledged that it wasn't a bit nice to navigate through, but we are working tirelessly to make sure that the platform is easy and perfect to use, not only for students and teachers, but for everyone who needs data sets from South Africa.
Yeah, what happened?
Okay, navigating the platform. So as I mentioned, Kartoza is hosting the material on our education platform, Moodle. So if you just type in training.kartoza.com, it will lead you straight to our training platform. So when learners and teachers or anyone who comes to our platform comes in, when they've registered, they will be welcomed by the welcome screen. As it says, welcome Siabile, and with depending on which course you are registered for, the courses will appear on your welcome page. So with the participation certificate, this is what learners will see on this or when they log into the page. So if I can just stop my share quickly and not. If I can share with you the platform. So this is how the platform looks like, or the course rather. So learners will be able to see the course information, forums, also the timeline that they have for the course, tutorial videos, every resource that learners need, and from what we've learned last year has been added to the course. Lessons, each and every lesson has an outline. So I advise teachers and also learners to also encourage your learners to read carefully through the instructions outlined, because you'll be able to follow through the course and the exercises with ease. So the the course is pretty easy to navigate. Everything is easily available. You have this side table of content, for lack of a better word, so that learners can be able to navigate through the different resources that they will be needing. Right. Now, so as I mentioned before, in the course, you learners and teachers will be able to see the timeline. So basically the timeline is just a guide and a constant reminder that this is the amount of time you have for you to be able to finish up the course. So please, please, please always make sure that you go back to it and then remind yourself, okay, this is the amount of time that I have. As you can see, we also mentioned that we are aware that it is exam season, but after that, you know that you'll be able to manage time and be able to do the task for this year. Now, when it comes to technical support, so I am your main point of contact for technical support. So like every house, there are house rules. So with the technical support house rules, there are a few things that students and teachers need to follow, especially if they want to report certain various issues that they are coming across whenever they are going through with a task. So for example, if you want to file an issue or send an issue to me regarding any technical problem that you are coming across during the lessons or with the software that you're working on, there is a course forum that has now been implemented where you can go into the course. It's written report issues, where you'll be able to go in, write an issue, make a full description of what the problem is, and then I'll be able to come in and then answer. Because the reason why it will be beneficial for not only you, but it will be beneficial for other students and other teachers from different schools is you might find that you're not the only one who has that problem. So it will be much easier for them to say, oh, let me see if maybe someone had a problem with QGIS not opening. So if they go through the list, oh, they can see this is why QGIS did not open. Maybe I should follow these steps. So it will be beneficial not only for you, but for the rest of the team within that course. Also, if you have issues with logging into the platform, please email me directly so that we can be able to sort the problem out, because in most cases you find that maybe you can't reset your password and all that, and those things are a bit more private other as compared to you reporting an issue regarding a certain technical issue with the lesson and all that. So here is my email address. So if you have any questions regarding the technical support, please feel free to send me or pop me an email. Also, regarding technical support, whenever you are reporting something to me, it will be very, very, very appreciated by me if you give a full description of how you encountered that issue, and also make sure that you have a screenshot that is nicely annotated that shows that, okay, in your instructions or in your description, you mentioned I clicked on view, I clicked on panels, then went on this other option, and then that's when QGIS stopped. So how do I fix this? So it makes it easier for me to be able to identify your problem, so that we can be able to, so that I can be able to help you. So please, all the time when you file in a problem with that, you have a technical problem, please make sure that you have a screenshot that is nicely annotated, and also in a nice full description of how you encountered the problem. That will be much appreciated from me and by me. Right, enough about the serious stuff. So 2022 has brought us so many surprises. Firstly, it was a pilot project when we first began, and we never expected that we could get such an audience, the amount of students that we got, the number of schools that participated. And out of those schools, we were able to get top achievers, students and groups of students who were able to submit really, really good maps, really, really good projects. So for what was known as Part A before, we have these 3 schools listed here that performed really, really good when it comes to the maps that they submitted. So we can clap hands for those schools. And here are their maps. So for 17 and 16-year-olds to submit really, really good maps, nicely labeled with nice instructions and all that, that is very, very impressive. So you have Kuramanas, and then you have Merrifield College. And then with Part B, now known as the Advanced Certificate, let's also clap for these students who did really, really well on their posters. So yay. And one thing that is nice about this is that all these submissions that the student or the top submissions that we got, they will be, oh, here are the posters, sorry about that. So as you can see, the posters are really nice, clean. And also one mention is that the students or the posters posters and maps that have been submitted from 2022 will be submitted to the International Cartographic Conference, which will be in August, and they will be exhibited there in the exhibition stands. So that is great as well. And then lastly, from our end, as the technical support, I'd like to thank all teachers who participated last year, who were very patient with me when it came to emails, who were patient with me when I said, please click this, click that, check that, check that, the back and forth emails. Thank you very much for working well with us. Also, congratulations to all students who participated in the project. And it may have not been easy, but you decided to take the first step and take that great risk to say, hey, I'm going to do GIS. And thank you to SAGTA, thank you to the IEB, and thank you to the University of Pretoria, and thank you to Cartoza. Thank you.
Thanks. Brandon, are you going to continue?
Yes, I'll continue. Let me just share my presentation. Hopefully it will come up. Let's see what happens. All right, let's just get this going. Right, good afternoon, everybody. We want to talk about the data science certificate. As Abby spoke about, I think Abby stole a lot of my thunder. I was going to mention a lot of things, but that doesn't matter. What we're looking at now in this data space, the task is that we found that most participants enjoyed doing part A. More participated in part A because they found it much easier. And it should be that way, because the purpose of part A is really to introduce the candidate to GIS. And so we have particularly easy tasks for them to do. We have some revision tasks that they can do. Okay. We have some easy tasks for them to do, and we have some review exercises, because we want to not only just teach them how to do the GIS, but we also want to teach the theory of GIS. And the purpose is then to learn the theory of GIS through actually doing it. And so the task was quite simple, and we're going to use that task again. As Abby showed there, some of the kids produced some very nice maps. I looked at some of these maps here. This map has got some potential. It's a bit lacking a bit of design, but certainly by looking at the task again, and maybe we can look at even introducing them to have maybe a 3D dimension to the task, which would actually be quite nice, because they're designing a theme park. And so basically what will happen is this, that with part A, the whole concept of GIS and the interface of QGIS will then be used. And so then in this way, then learners will be introduced, participants will be introduced to this, candidates will be introduced to this, so that they can become familiar with using the GIS task. And what we try and do is we give a step-by-step guide. And, you know, some of the purists like Abby will look at that and say, no, why are you doing this 3 times? But the purpose of repeating it is to really just reinforce it into the mind of the learner. And also what we focused on is maybe making the group smaller. We found that sometimes, you know, I found that in my lessons that if I get them to work in pairs, it actually works much better. You get more productivity, and the two help each other, and it works well that way. Also, as a further tip to doing this task, I think what is important to remember is that, you know, when do you find the time to do all of this? A suggestion that I would make is that, you know, if your school has a club, use the club time. You know, if you get an hour a week and you focus on that, then that's great. And even as we said in our pilot, we said that we'd like teachers to monitor this, but it's actually good for maybe teachers to dive in, you know, because if you don't dive in, if you don't get involved, and then the enthusiasm wanes. So even if you find it challenging, it's actually quite nice to make the mistakes along with the learners, because I found that what happens in many cases, kids fiddle with the hardware and they have problems, but by you diving in and helping them, then you would have less calls to Abby and say something doesn't work or this doesn't work, I've got a technical problem. A lot of the times kids fiddle with things, and if you are aware of what are the common mistakes, what are the common errors, then you are able to provide that assistance, and then it becomes a much more pleasant task for all of them. Now, what we also want to do is, what I have here is a map of South Africa. We're going to introduce into the task also a lesson that I designed, where you're looking at making a map of South Africa. And the purpose here is really to teach the participants skills of cartography, because we found that when we looked at the section B, the maps were fine, but they were little pokey little maps. and they weren't really giving us the spatial data analysis. So this is a very simple task. All they have to do is to make a map of South Africa, put in the provinces, label the capitals. And so in this way, by just doing this basic task, they get a skill on how to use cartography, looking at the good features of the map, the scale, the north arrow. And in fact, this map was produced by a grade 8 boy. So it shows you that they can do it. Here's a grade 8 boy who's done a very nice map, properly projected and all of that. So it just shows you that if we give them the skills of cartography, when they do a map, they begin to understand that you can make use of color. You can put in a legend. You can put in all those important information that is important for map work, because really we don't want to forget the map work skills and the map skills as we're doing the GIS, because map work underpins all of this. And so that's what we want to do there. And now just to give you an idea as a further example of what can be done, I just did a little exercise here looking at the placement of mines, and then also looking at where the railway lines are, and then looking at a buffer and then using a difference. So here's a sort of example of how they can set their maps out so they can have a number of maps. You know what happened, what we found with the poster was a lot of the candidates were producing small maps with huge amounts of text, but really it's a spatial exercise. So we want to see more maps. We want to see more insert maps, and they can use various mediums. As I showed you, here's an example of various mediums that can be used. And by using these, you are able to see that it's quite interesting and quite exciting. So I thought, no, that's my little bit on part A. It's very exciting. And I think if the teachers get involved in part A, it would then be an enjoyable experience. And so if everybody gets involved in doing this, even if you make the mistakes, don't worry about that. There's enough support, but the learning is great. And then the enthusiasm will be there. And then the candidates will be better equipped to go on to part B, which is the more advanced certificate. So I'm going to leave it off here now, and I'll let Nicola get on with part B. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, some lovely maps there. And thank you for showing those examples. Those are really helpful for those that need an idea of what's happening. Okay, I'm going to just share my screen and then we'll get going. Okay. All right, so for part B, let me just press slideshow. Okay, so for part B, there were obviously less students who took this section. It was, upon reflection, quite a difficult section to do. It was really seen as almost too advanced for the students, especially since more time was needed for this section. It was a bit like a research project, but a larger one, almost similar to our ORT. And we just looked at that and thought, you know, actually, we want to simplify this. So going forward, it won't be as intimidating. The rubric also won't look as intimidating. And it will be set up in a way that the students can kind of work independently, in the sense they don't need to run to the teacher for help every 5 minutes, but rather maybe just go for guidance in terms of narrowing their question or problem that they want to solve in their thing. So as Abby showed, some nice, beautiful maps and posters that were created with lovely maps. I just want to give a shout out to all the students who did partake, who did submit a poster. It is just great to see some students fly, and those that didn't have help, to actually, they attempted it and tried. And you know what, we had all sorts of quality of these posters, but it was just great to see the students giving a go at this sort of tall order task that I set them. So yeah, this was one of the top candidates, but I just wanted to show you other ones. Maybe they didn't do as well. I actually didn't look at the marks when choosing these for the thing. I just wanted to show you a variety of what we got, and some very beautiful ones that came out, and different issues that were trying to be solved, which I quite like. So congestion, this was looking at energy in South Africa. And then we had some congestion. No, what was this? I can't see the top, but something to do with the roads as well. So for the new part, it's now called the Advanced Certificate. We're going to simplify this section a lot. and make it easier for the student to work on their own, and rather, if need to, ask teachers or ask for assistance from technical side. In this instance, we are looking at the option of them working on their own as well as in groups having the option, because that also became an issue. Some students work by themselves even though they were in a group, and then some students take credit for that. So there was a lot of sort of teething issues that came out of this task. So this way we're going to structure it now, we'll go something towards like this. I'm still working on it, so it's a work in progress. But basically we are looking at, they create a map using some sort of scenario where they have an issue in South Africa that they've identified that they want to solve. So it can be local. I always suggest rather keep your students local, so something they've noticed in their community or in their school, or something they've passed along the way and they say, I wonder why, or something like that. So what the end game is, instead of a poster this time, we're going to ask them to just create a lovely map. At the same time, when they are creating their map, they will need to take screenshots of what skills they used from part A, or now the general certificate, to create this new map for this section. So that will be submitted more like a document, that section, but the end goal is a nice sort of A1 size map that has to be submitted in PDF form. So some of the skills it will cover some more, but I will ask them to show evidence of clipping, creating your own vector layers, editing symbols as well as digitizing, and a few others too, which are all covered in the first section of this certificate, in Brandon's section. So that's sort of what it will look like, how it will be handed in, or what, obviously your explanation document, and then your map has to be PDF. So now, instead of having a poster that can be quite text heavy, and maybe they haven't displayed parts of the map that we want to see, we now want to see just the map, and the thought behind it will be in that text document that they submit with screenshots. When would this start? We are now thinking of bringing it forward, even though the one circular that went out said it would start next year. We are moving it back to this year because we want the students to have continuity from the first section onto this section. So from the participation certificate to the advanced. And what we're going to do, instead of giving them a long period of time to commit into working on this every week, we're going to say from this date to this date over about a 4 or 3 day period. We haven't quite decided yet. That is when they complete the section, so that it's a once-off, get it out the way, and we will take into consideration load shedding, maybe general school and activities that are happening. So there will be times, starting time and a cutoff time to that as well. And this also will alleviate the stress of, exams coming up at the end of the year, teachers having to be hectically involved with the student with this. So we just thought this might be an easier way, and they just make sure once they get given the dates, they pick one of the days that are available to them, and they sit down and do it. So I'm going to show you some examples of what is going to be potentially what it looks like when they hand in. So I'm just going to share another screen for you. Just give me 1 second. Okay, yes, this one. Is it this one? Yes. Okay, so this is actually from my days of doing GIS at varsity. But just to give you an idea, they would submit this separately as a PDF. So this is looking at the cheetah sightings or potential cheetah sightings in a certain area within the Eastern Cape. And in order for this map to be created, you had to look at layers like, where would water be, because cheetahs need water to drink? Where have they been most sighted in the past? Where are human activities like roads and driving cars? Where do people live? And so you single out all the areas that they wouldn't be, and you want to highlight all the areas where they should or potentially would be. And so that's sort of the map that you can create there, again following the nice cartography skills of map mapping, your scale, your data, where it comes from, who created it, and your longitude and latitude, and your legend and keys, which are very important. But they would submit this as a separate document, and then underneath, well, in their Word document or text document, they would have screenshots like you can see here, showing how they got to that map, showing what layers they manipulated and changed or add on their own, showing how they did certain skills. And so that's what we are looking for. So just here's another one looking at potential sites. So where to build a hide to go see the cheetahs. So where the cheetah sightings are, and then a buffer was created to try and work out where to build it, looking at relief and height and all of those things, and where the rivers are. So that was where we were looking at. So there's the inland water where you would find, pools or wherever the cheetahs would be drinking, and then the buffer from the water, because you would want a sighting close to the watering hole. And then obviously we want to see elevation so that you can work out where is a stable ground, so it's not too steep to build the hide. So again, just showing you a nice map. And so that is the way we have changed it so that they can hand it in. It's one simple map with just explanations. It also will help us in marking and trying to give the best candidates a chance to do well as those that struggled to still get marks. So that is the way that that I'm envisioning this. It's a work in progress, but I'm actually excited and looking forward to seeing this kind of style going forward. And it's just lessons learned from the pilot. And that's why we called last year a pilot, and why it is a pilot, is that we have to start somewhere and make mistakes. And we all life learners as teachers, as we know. So it is wonderful to be able to sort of experiment and learn along the way. And I'm still very proud of the students that participated this year. Yeah, thank you from me. I'll stop sharing. I think it's Bridget or Clinton is next.
Yes, thanks. I'm sitting in the dark here. It doesn't help if I put the camera on. Clinton, or you or Bridget carrying on?
First.
Thanks.
Thanks, Clinton.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. So from the University of Pretoria's perspective, we are very excited to endorse and to sort of give credence to this whole process, because increasingly students need something extra, just apart from their matric certificate, to be getting into varsity and some of these scientific and geospatial programs. So as the Faculty of Education, I'm here in the Department of Humanities Education, where we are training teachers to teach not just the normal brilliant geography that we all love so passionately, but also from a more geospatial perspective in terms of using geographic information systems, or as it's now called these days, sciences, GISS with a small c. We want students to have this extra skill to be able to really have, just a little bit of a sort of higher input and chance of getting into varsity as such. So what I just wanted to say was thank you so much to the IEB and to our examiners, Brandon and Nicola, and then also my fellow moderator, Bridget Fleming. The two of us moderate internally and externally on the certificate. So thank you for all their hard work. And I'd just like to promote the Southern African Geography Teachers Association. If you haven't joined yet, we are making this process part of the GIS Olympiad that we want to launch in 2024, the South African Geographical Information Sciences Olympiad, or what will be called SAGISO. And basically, we're still thinking through some of the logistics and how it will work, but this will be the platform or the sort of stepping stone that your candidates would use to enter the Olympiad and to submit their sort of submission. And then if you haven't become a member of SAGTA, please do join. It's 400 Rand a year to be a member. And we've got an exciting, wonderful thing to entice you to become members. You can make your own maps on the website. It's called the Topo Map and Orthophoto Map Downloader. Some of you may know that we have already given the public, even general public, access to making topo maps in the Map Downloader Lite version. But unfortunately, as an organization which needs to subsidize and support these facilities, we are membership-based. And so from the 1st of July, unfortunately, you're only going to have 2 free maps to make or download a year. And after that, you had better become a member, or you'd have to wait till next year to make your maps, I'm afraid. Do take advantage of this wonderful facility by just professionally investing in yourself as a teacher. Get your school and your bursa to budget for it and to join SAGTA. It's 400 Rand a year. Not only do you have access to the prep share and the map downloader, but all these webinars, all these various things that we do as the community. And we're all volunteers, right? We're doing this out of free time that we have available, very little of it, but we are passionate about what we do. And so we plug it and we do it. And that's all I have to say. Thanks, Bridget. I'll answer those questions in the chat now.
Thank you, Clinton. From my side, I just want to conclude and extend a thank you to absolutely everyone. As Robin said, it's wonderful to see collaboration and partnership from industry. We had industry support with Cartoza, we had tertiary support with the University of Pretoria, and of course an examination body. It was marvelous to have the accreditation through the IEB. But very importantly, thank you so much to our examiners, and to Abby, a big shout out. Thank you, Sophie. We are so grateful that there was one person who is so passionate and sharing her love of education as a GIS specialist, because here is a skill set which is in high demand. It really is, and ultimately we do want our youth to be employed. And also I think it's a fantastic opportunity to promote our subject. So I just want to say thank you very much. And before we deal with the questions, to just mention one other thing that Clinton hasn't mentioned, and as a SAGTA member and moving on to the GIS Science Olympiad, please watch your space. It's a wonderful opportunity. But just imagine if your students in your class do well and are able to present at the upcoming AAG conference. The AAG is the American Association of Geographers. And as a SAGTA member, you also get membership to the American Association of Geographers as well. And that association has been going on for a number of years. And of course, next year's conference in April is in Honolulu, which is on the opposite side of the world to us. But us geographers, of course, love active volcanoes. Wouldn't it be exciting if you can go with your winning team from your school for the GDSC certificate and showcase this project at the AAG? So there's another incentive, a way to get to Hawaii, everybody. So that from my side, thank you all. And it comes from you spark the interest as a geography teacher. So if you are impassioned with your subject, you ignite that passion with your learners, please promote GIS, because it's an absolutely marvelous skill. People fall asleep when they look at data in the form of tables, but when you put a spatial component to it, suddenly it becomes alive. So I was just looking at where everybody is based here. Next, Inika, I think it would be marvelous if we can quickly map where everybody is for our next SAGTA webinar. I think we have to actually have a spatial component. It's marvelous to see the national spread here. So over to Q&A, Inika. Thank you.
Right, thank you. I do see some questions. I'm not answering though. So one of the other presenters need to please just jump in. Someone has asked about extending the date to allow late comers.
I'll jump in here, Inika. We're happy to take registrations till mid-June. So that gives you another 2.5 weeks. Okay.
Thank you. When is the training starting for teachers from Tandiwe?
Can I answer that one? As far as teacher training is concerned, this is the teacher training. You just need to allow your learners to dive in and to do it themselves. So in other words, it's a learner-driven task. If you feel that you need any additional support, please drop an email to Sobiwe and we'll see how we can make a plan to answer your queries. But the idea is that it is self-directed learning by the learners themselves.
Thanks, Bridget. Arthur wants to know what the costs are for the part A, and how do they register? So if someone could explain that to him, please.
I'll jump in here, Inika. The cost is 170 Rand, I think, for both parts. That includes certification and moderation of part B. Remember that we don't do the marking, the teachers do the marking of part A and part B. Sorry, the participation certificate and advanced certificate, and the advanced certificate is moderated. I will ask Bridget to share the circular with the registration details on the South African Geographer Google group and any other sites that she thinks is important.
Perfect, thank you. Dale,
Will do.
oh, sorry, Bridget. Okay,
Um,
thanks.
I will do. Sorry, and we will share it on the South African Geography group as well.
Okay. Great, thank you. And then Dale wants to know, do we have access to the tasks through the teacher login?
Can I answer that? At the moment, the course is not available for anyone. It's just only available for managers of the site. So after the launch and once everything is sorted, then I'll let all the teachers know that the course is available and it will be visible to them.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm repeating these questions because people watching the recording later won't have access to seeing what's written here. So yes, thanks. Tennille asked, what are the specs required for QGIS on a laptop or iPad? Thanks, David, for replying. But if someone could just repeat that in verbally, so we've got it on the recording.
Maybe I can come in with that. Generally, iPad is not used for QGIS. You won't use iPad. It has to be a PC. It doesn't have to be a very fancy PC. If you're using Chromebooks, we can assist you with that. There's a script that we can give you. So if your learners are using Chromebooks, that can work. It works very well. And so you must have a PC. Basically, an i3 would be sufficient.
Celia wants to know if she can do the tasks. Can the teachers also do them?
Yeah, we encourage them to do them because that's how they're going to learn.
I have to agree. I was going to say that, but I thought let one of you answer. Thanks. Dale also wants to know.
Quickly,
yes.
Just sorry to interject with a MacBook. Absolutely, any laptop. I have a Mac and most certainly use QGIS on my Mac.
Yeah, just to come in there also with the MacBook, just remember that you'll need to adjust your security settings. So don't fret when you see it doesn't load it on. Just adjust your security settings when you download it, and it won't damage your machine in any way. It won't hack your machine. There's nothing like that that will happen with QGIS.
Great. Do we have an estimated date for when the tasks will be available?
I think by the end of this week or next week, they will be available. And then I think if teachers want to go through the tasks themselves, they can go through before maybe they start interacting with the students. So yeah, like Brendan and Bridget said, as a teacher, you can also go through the tasks.
Thanks, Siphiwe. That's great. No, thank you so much. Are there any other further questions that anyone would like to ask?
Sorry, Inika, I'm just going to jump in here to let everyone know regarding those dates for part B that Nicholas spoke to. I will be sending out a circular in the next week about those dates. And like Nicholas said, what we will be doing is that we will be giving 4 dates that the learners, that the teachers can then select for the learners to complete. Because like we said, with an extended time frame, life gets in the way and learners, may lose focus on the task. So what we've done is we've conceived of giving 4 dates. One of them will be a Saturday for those teachers perhaps who can't take time off, get learners to complete this. And the idea is that we'll design the task to be completed in a day. So then hopefully it will keep the learners focused, but a circular will go out.
Thanks so much, Robin. That's great. I think the communication has been very good around this. Right. Any other further questions? Okay, so I have recorded this and we will be downloading it, converting it and putting it on the SAGTA YouTube channel. And then we will email it out on the help@SAGTA web email address. please, I do ask you just to check in your spam as well, because sometimes it doesn't like help at SAGTA and it ends up in your spam. So we're going to try and get it done. Otherwise, you can keep checking the YouTube channel for when it will be there. SAGTA's YouTube channel has allowed or has it there as well. And then we'll put it on the Facebook page as well. So SAGTA has a Facebook page and you can find it there as well. We'll try and share the link everywhere. Okay. So are there any other further questions? It's your last chance. Good luck. Enjoy it. Have fun. And thank you to all the presenters this afternoon as well. I think it's all clear now.
And thank you,
Inika.
Inika. Thank you, Inika.
It's always
Thank
fun.
you, Inika, and thank you, team.
Yes, thank you so much. Right. Have a great evening. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.